This thing took me 7 years to write. Thousands of hours, thousands of dollars on editors, the cover designers, and the like. And it took hundreds of hours and a lot of goodwill from my friends and my family, my wife, who gave me feedback and helped me complete the project. And before my work has seen the light of day, there are already people trying to destroy it without even reading it, just because it raises some uncomfortable questions. So what happened, and what are those uncomfortable questions? Well, my novel, Case Study, is about a world of absolute extreme empathy. It asks what would happen if, when you see or even think of a suffering of another human being, you experience a similar suffering yourself. Would it lead to a better world? Is, more broadly, empathy a universal good? Or can too much of it lead to more suffering and even evil? And on the one hand, such a world of extreme empathy might seem wonderful. There would be no war, because even thinking of killing somebody would stop you right there. And there would be no poverty, because we can no longer ignore those who have it worse than us. But if we look closer, things are not that simple. For example, imagine a surgeon doing a life-saving operation who feels every cut on the patient as if it was done to them. Well, that would be debilitating, and in this case, empathy would cost a life, because a surgeon cannot operate in this state. And it might seem like a silly example, like, well, this is too extreme, obviously, but sometimes the best way to understand something is to push it to an extreme and see where it leads us. And in my book, I did this to empathy, to better understand what is its role in society and where would it lead us if it became a dominant force, a moral compass that we have to follow. But anyways, I don't want to spoil too much. What I want to say instead is, if you followed my channel for long enough, you know that I'm not a person to do like a one-sided take on anything, really. My very first video is me debating myself on whether Left Hand of Darkness is a good book or not. And I did it well enough that people in the comments thought that my real position was not the one I actually believed in. So I think I'm pretty decent in representing the other side in any sort of argument. And just like in that video, in my novel, I present both sides of the issue and let the readers draw their own conclusions. But even more importantly, yes, there are some thoughts or topics you might consider as you read my novel, but most of all, I wanted to write an enjoyable, engaging story that anybody could enjoy regardless of their political views. So in that novel, you're not going to find any sort of caricature representations of real-world political parties or figures, and I'm not trying to paint any group of people as dumb or evil. So it's even more surprising that with this stance that I take of asking questions rather than giving the reader the conclusions, the response, even before the book was out, was kind of concerning. So I ran a small ad campaign on Facebook just to compare the two cover variations that I had to see which one people react better to. And some of the responses were just abhorrent. The mildest ones just insulted me. A few reported me as scam or misinformation. Somebody accused me of exploiting Charlie Kirk's death. And one more person tried to get me fired, I guess, or at least implied that they're going to try to do that. So yeah, it's been interesting. And all of that without reading the book. Just think about it. And what is scary is that we live in a world where something like that might work. Of course, I'm not going to hide my book, but I realize that, yes, maybe I'm going to lose my job because of it. Or they can try to prevent the book from being read by, for example, leaving fake negative reviews, or they can go in further and, who knows what those people might decide to do. So I'm not often asking for things on this channel, but this time I do. And if you believe that the role of fiction, at least part of it, is to imagine other unreal worlds to better understand our own, if you believe that considering things from different perspectives is a goodness, that asking questions is not a crime and actually is a path forward and not a thing of the past, one thing you can do is check out the link in the first comment and grab a copy and give it a read. Because that's really the only thing that matters. I started writing this book 7 years ago because I felt that the topic it touches upon was a very sore point in society that nobody really understands how to think about. And so far, people from across the political spectrum have read it and enjoyed the book, and this is exactly what I want to see. So yeah, but with the response I got from some strangers, I have no doubt the book eventually is gonna get review bombed or something like that. But I'm not asking you to positively review bomb it in return. What I want to happen ideally is for people to read it, to discuss it, and if you like it, yeah, sure, leave a review, a rating, or better, share it with somebody who might also enjoy it. So that's what I'm asking. Give the sample chapters a read, see how it goes for you. I want to end with this thought. Recently, the trend in the dystopian literature was to do one of two things. You either pick something safe to hate, for example, a tyrannical government or oppression in general, and you write an entertaining story that anybody can enjoy, but nobody really brings anything new out of it because, well, we already agree on the premise before we even go into reading the book. The second version is to pick a side and paint a ridiculous, humiliating caricature of the other camp. In this case, the author would reiterate their political views on every page, and they would pour as much dirt as they could on the other side. And there's plenty of audience for that because for some people it's very validating to hear how right you are and how stupid are all the people you disagree with. For better or worse, both the safe entertainment and the echo chamber types of dystopias can sell really well. But what I wanted to see more is dystopian books that can spark conversation across the aisle. A type of work in which anyone could find something to agree with, something to disagree with, and plenty to think about. I did all I could to create such a book, and I think it came out well. I hope you give it a chance.